Today we're going to look at the effects of technology integration in education on learner motivation. The purpose of this qualitative study is to determine if the use of technology in education will increase student motivation. Based on the recent studies that were viewed, there is a mixed review. Half of the studies showed that there was an increase in student motivation and therefore achievement, and half of the studies said there was little to no change in student motivation or achievement. The studies all had varying types of technology used, or the amount that the technology was used changed, and these could be a reason for the mixed results in the studies. The theoretical framework shows that there are many studies that had positive effects of using technology, and there were negative or no effects on using technology in student motivation. When looking in depth at the negative data, the data that had little to no change, students were asked to do tasks like play a video game repeatedly to study content. They were asked to do game-based lessons weekly, or the technology was used as a means to participate in an in-person class virtually. Based on this, I concluded that using the same technology repeatedly, or when using a product to not change the way education is presented, is not working. Some of the positive data showed that when students use technology to create a learning outcome that shows their understanding, the motivation and achievement greatly increased. Also, a flipped classroom using interactivity was a strong proponent for showing greater achievement and motivation in students. In the flipped classroom, students were able to watch a video or participate in an interactive slide or study before coming to class to learn about the content that they viewed in the video, or the content from the lesson. When the students came to class, they had that background knowledge and were able to move on at a rapid pace and have more meaningful discussion. Other types of technology involve students filming different videos to show their learning. Based on this, I concluded that using various technology tools would be appropriate. Also, using technology to integrating in technology into those low achievement areas would probably be the better outcome. With that, if students are scoring higher or scoring well on certain content, it would be better to integrate that technology on the areas where the students are not scoring great. That way you can increase student motivation and achievement in the areas that it is needed the most. For this study, the method that we started with was a beginning student survey. Followed by that, the students watched a video lesson and competed in a Kahoot game. The data from that game was used to determine the students who needed more instruction on a particular skill. When the students were back together in a whole group setting, either virtually or in person, the students participated in a Pear Deck lesson. The Pear Deck lesson is an interactive add-on that you add to Google Slides that allows the students to log in and interact with the lesson. In this case, the students were able to show their understanding by answering multiple choice questions or inputting their thoughts and opinions or their answers for various questions throughout the lesson. That data can be used to show who really grasped the concept that was being taught and who needed more intensive small group instruction. Following that, the students completed a Screencastify assignment. Using the Screencastify program, students were able to video themselves solving a problem and explaining their reasoning behind it. They were also able to use visuals to explain their understanding. After that, the students participated in a concluding student survey. The beginning student survey started with these questions. The students were asked their least and most favorite subjects, their current feeling about the way lessons were taught in the class, which was a mix of technology and non-technology items, The students were asked their opinion had they ever heard of Pear Deck, Screencastify, and Kahoot, which were the 3 programs used. They were also asked how excited they would be to use each of the items. The concluding student survey asked these questions. Again, what is your least and most favorite subjects? Did they enjoy using each of the programs, Pear Deck, Screencastify, and Kahoot? And how excited they would be to use those 3 again in class. For this, we surveyed 24 fifth grade students in a mixed learning model. 8 students are in person and 16 are virtual, and the ability level for all students is mixed. 3 students were excluded from the data because they did not complete both the beginning and ending survey. Here is the data from the beginning survey. 43% of students had math as their favorite subject, whereas 33% of students said math was their least favorite subject. When asked how they currently felt about the way lessons were taught, most students said that they were satisfied to extremely satisfied, with some not being satisfied. Most of the students had not heard of Pear Deck and had mixed reviews about how they would use it in class, or if they were excited to use it in class. Most had not heard of Screencastify, and again had mixed reviews on using the technology they hadn't heard of in class. All of the students had heard of Kahoot and were extremely satisfied or excited to use them in class. The concluding survey showed that more students claimed the subject that we used the technology with, they were more excited, or that was their more favorite subject. Least favorite subjects changed a little bit. And the concluding data showed that each student said they really enjoyed using each of the items. And all of the data showed that they would be either really excited or excited to use the data or the technology again. When looking at this, I feel like there's an increase in students who like mathematics, which is the subject that the interactive technology was applied to. Students overwhelmingly claim to be excited or very excited to use these technology applications again in the future. In conclusion, I would say that using technology can increase student motivation, but that technology needs to be purposefully planned to engage the learners. Just using technology to add technology is not helpful for the learners. Also, the tasks need to be meaningful for the learner. It needs to be something that is engaging to them. The task cannot be repeated excessively. And we need to try our best to keep the technology in the hands of the learner and not the teacher. Some significance from this study shows that teachers really should stay abreast of current technology advances so that they can see what is applicable to education. It would be beneficial to poll students' opinions and recommendations often to find out what types of technology they are interested in using. If we have students' interest, we have their motivation. Teachers should not monopolize the use of technology, and the tasks that the students are assigned should use technology so that they can show their understanding of what the content is we're teaching.